Hello everyone, welcome to this special session. Now in the last session, Abhishek sir had discussed about how this year students can look forward to preparing for both Bank PO exams as well as SSC-CGL exams together. And from then on we have been receiving queries that sir, how do we prepare for both of the exams section wise? Please guide us on those lines, right? So we thought that we would bring out sessions where we are going to guide you how to prepare for both these exams together section wise. Okay? In that series today we are going to look at the English language section. So what are we going to look at specifically? First, you should know the exams, both the exams, Bank PO as well as SSC-CGL exam. If you are targeting towards preparation of both these exams, you should know the exams, how they are same, how they are different, right? These things would help you plan better. That is one aspect. Second is, how do we optimally manage our preparation so that we are best prepared for both the exams, right? And both of these are the agenda points today. Now, after today's session, what would happen? Let's say if you are preparing for Bank PO and you want to also prepare for SSC, today you would know that these are the things I am supposed to do for Bank PO and these are the things that I am supposed to do extra for SSC-CGL, both content wise as well as practice wise. Okay. Similarly, if you are preparing for SSC-CGL and you want also to add up your Bank PO exams to your preparation list so that you have more chances of getting into a job this year, then you would get an idea about how do you orient your preparation for both the exams in English language section. Okay. Also, if you are planning to go for both the exams from today, then also you would know how you have to orient yourself. So that is what is going to happen after today's lecture. The first thing, as I told you, is knowing these two exams. So for Bank PO, we will take the reference of IBPS PO exam and SSC-CGL, SSC-CGL, right? So though IBPS PO reference has been taken, even for SBI PO, it would be more or less the same. Now, first we will look at the prelim. You see, in prelim, IBPS PO, you have 30 questions, 30 marks and 20 minutes to do those questions. This is the pattern of the paper in IBPS PO prelim. Now, what about SSC-CGL tier 1? How does the paper look? 25 questions in English language section, 50 marks, 2 marks to each question. The total paper is of 100 question, 200 marks, out of which 25 questions are English. And there is no sectional time limit in the tier 1 exam. You are given a cumulative time of 60 minutes and you will have to do all the 100 questions within that 60 minutes, right? Which would include English language section also. So that is the difference, one of the major difference between the IBPS PO and SSC-CGL tier 1. Content wise, how they differ, we will come to it in the next slide. But first, let's understand how the nature of the exam differs. Okay? Next, mains. In mains, if you look at, IBPS PO, SBI PO, in mains there are, two different segments to it. One is the objective paper of mains and the second is the descriptive paper of mains. Okay? So the objective paper of mains has 35 questions and you are given 40 marks, awarded 40 marks for those 35 questions and you have 40 minutes for that particular section. Okay. Descriptive, another online test, subjective test but online test, 2 questions, you have 25 marks in IBPS PO and you get 30 minutes, right? The same thing in SBI PO is 50 marks. Okay. Now, what about the SSC-CGL? Here there are 2 different exams. One is the tier 2 exam, which is the objective type questions, 200 questions. This time it's a separate paper. So 200 question, 200 marks and 120 minutes for that particular paper. Okay. So what about descriptive? Is there descriptive? Yes, there is descriptive. Tier 3 paper is descriptive paper. You have 2 questions, 100 marks and 60 minutes to write on that. Okay. The difference here is that in SSC-CGL, we have the paper as offline mode written paper till now. Okay. Whereas in IBPS PO and SBI PO, that is online. Okay. Right. So this is how the nature of the paper differs. Now that you have an idea about what the nature of the paper looks like, let's move on to the content of the paper. What are the things that comes in Bank PO and what are the things that comes in SSC-CGL? How are they common and how much percentage of questions comes from each one of the area in both the exams? Okay, right. So let me move out of the screen and first give you the idea of Bank PO prelim exam. So there are 4 basic areas: RC-CR. RC-CR means reading comprehension and critical reasoning, FIB and vocab, right, which is fill in the blanks and vocabulary. Fill in the blanks also consists of closed test. Okay. Then there is grammar and then there is para-jumble, para-completion questions. So these are the 4 major areas that we have picked up. So if you look at RC-CR in prelims is 26% of the paper. Okay. Whereas FIB and vocabulary is 32% of the paper. Grammar is 26% of the paper and the rest 16% is para-jumble and para-completion. Okay. Right. So this is how the prelim looks like. The data that I have taken is from the previous year exams and average of previous year exams. So if you look at it, RC-CR and grammar application in prelim more or less has same weightage, a little bit more weightage to FIB vocabulary in the previous year, right? And almost half or a little less is for the para-jumble, para-completion. Okay. Now tier 1. So if you look at 28% is FIB and closed test. Vocabulary is 40%. Now this is stark from FIB plus vocabulary 32% in prelims. So we are 40% only in vocabulary, and that's why I had separated the legend of vocabulary. Then 16% grammar, and you have 8% para-jumble, para-completion, 8% voice and speech. Okay, right? So basically 2 questions out of 25 in para-jumble and 2 questions out of 25 in voice and speech. Okay. That's what had happened last year. Now this is tier 1. This is how the tier 1 looks like. Now if you look at what are the differences, if you look at the differences, biggest components are obviously FIB plus vocab, but it consists of FIB, closed test, vocab, direct vocab questions only would be 2 or so. Whereas here direct vocab question, which obviously includes spelling as well as idioms and vocab application questions, those are 40% out of the whole thing. So around 10 questions out of 25. Okay. Achha, the next here is the RC as well as the grammar equal weightage. Whereas here we don't have any RC. RC is 0. If you look at tier 1, previous year we see no RC questions. Okay. Now, then you have grammar 16% and voice and speech PJPC voice 8%. So majority FIB and vocab together you have 68% of the question. So this is the nature's difference, difference of nature in the tier 1 and prelims question. Now, I'll come to it. How do you approach therefore the preparation? Now mains, if you see RC-CR is 50%, FIB vocab is now just 17%. What used to be 32% in prelims is just 17%. Grammar 20%, okay, and the rest 13% para-jumble and para-completion. Okay. So grammar more or less a little less than what it had been percentage wise in prelims, but RC-CR has almost doubled, and that's how mains paper is different from prelims paper. Mains paper is more geared towards reading, critical reasoning, reading comprehension, right? Next, tier 2. Here FIB and closed test 15%, right? Just 15%. You'll have to remember that 200 questions comes in tier 2, right? So 15% is also 30 questions, not less. Okay. Vocabulary 12%. So you see, from 40% in tier 1, the vocabulary has come down. So we see a difference in here also in tier 2 1 versus tier 2. 20% is grammar. Parajumble, paracompletion 15%. Now again 15% is almost equal to what came in FIB and closed test and more than what came in vocabulary previous year. Voice and speech 23%. Okay. So the voice and speech percentage has increased. So around 45 questions last year came from direct, indirect and active passive. And this does not exist in Bank PO exam. In Bank PO exam, we do not get questions from active passive voice and direct, indirect interchange, right? Transformation. So this is something which is separate and only for tier 1 and tier 2 exams of SSC-CGL. And RCCR gets introduced in tier 2 and the weightage is around 15%, which is again out of 230 questions. So this is how it looks like. Now, you might say that, sir, there are no critical reasoning questions in your SSC-CGL. Yes, I agree. There are no direct critical reasoning questions in SSC-CGL. But have you noticed that for the past 2-3 years in the reading comprehension question, the number of inferential questions have increased? Now, what do they mean? Inferential questions in RC is nothing but critical reasoning questions, na? Right? Okay. So now comes that, how should you prepare? Like, so we started in the last slide only that how RC and CR is integrally linked. So, these set of knowledge pieces should help us to plan our preparation better, right? Okay, so how should we prepare? So, first of all, the common things that would help you in both the exams. First, do the concepts of FIB, closed test, paracompletion and grammar first, right? That would help you in both the exams. Okay? That would, they are universal to all the exams. Next, do the concepts of reading comprehension and critical reasoning and obviously parajumble alongside it. Read extensively. Without doubt, whether you are taking only SSC, only bank or both of them together, read extensively. Do vocabulary 15 minutes a day, right? That would help you in both the exam. This is common for both the exam. Now here, some people can say that, sir, in Bank PO exam, we don't see much of direct vocabulary questions. So why do we study it? Again, though you do not see any direct vocabulary question or very few direct vocabulary question, but then when your vocabulary is good, then you automatically feel confident in the language. So that is one of the reasons why 15 minutes a day investment in vocabulary would work wonders for you, right? How to do it, how to go ahead with each one of these areas, RC, CR, FIB, closed test, vocabulary, on them I have done detailed videos on this channel. Go and visit them and understand how should you move forward in preparing for these areas. Now, exam specific. Now, please understand before I move on to the exam specific part, the common part remains same for everyone. The conceptual part remains same for everyone. You do not do separate concept for SSC-CGL and Bank PO exam. Understand that very clearly, right? A lot of students come up with these kind of statements that, sir, SSC-CGL is a paper where we have easier questions than Bank PO. So, we will have to prepare less in SSC-CGL. But my dear friend, it does not work like that. FIB and closed test concepts are same for both of them. You'll have to understand the concept to the same degree for both the exams, right? After that, the kind of questions that you practice, that would obviously depend upon exam to exam. So here comes exam specific. So if you are targeting both the exams, you'll have to do practice of both the exams. Exam relevant questions, because the nature of questions differ, right? And the way the questions are presented also differ. So therefore, you should have an understanding of how to attempt the questions or apply the concepts that you have learned, the common concepts that you have learned in these questions by doing those questions. Okay. Do concepts of active passive and direct indirect, right? after you are done with the common concepts and you are in the practice mode of those concepts in exam relevant type of questions, at that stage do concepts of active passive and direct indirect for SSC-CGL, and practice mocks or previous year questions at the right time. Now, when is the right time? The right time is when you are to go for the exam. There is 1.5 to 2 months to the exam. You can start off at that point of time. Okay, right? Okay. So, understand this very clearly, that conceptual part, whether it is reading comprehension, critical reasoning, whether it is FIB closed test or parajumbles, remains the same for both the exams. Though you might feel that in Bank PO exam RC comes difficult and in SSC-CGL RC comes easy, so you can have lesser concepts for SSC-CGL. No, my dear friend, the concepts have to be at the same level. Then the application that you do would be to separate type of questions, the type of questions that you get in those exams. Okay, right? So this is the orientation that is most important for you guys in while preparing for both the exams. And if you are able to manage this orientation, I am sure that you would do wonders in both the exams. Okay? So that would be all for today. Hope this class was helpful for you. Thank you very much and all the best.